I have great pleasure in inviting respected Professor Sannidhanam Sudarshana Sharmaji, Vice Chancellor of Sri Venkateswara Vedic University. Professor Sannidhanam Sudarshana Sharma has the best of both, namely of the traditional learning and the modern approach. He learned the Krishna Yajurveda and Mimamsa from his father. He learned Shukla Yajurveda from Ganesha Ganapadikal. He learned Purva Mimamsa from Dongri Shastriji. And he has been in the teaching faculty of the Rashtriya Sanskrit Vidyapith in Tirupati. To start with as a lecturer, then assistant professor, then professor, then head of the department. And for nearly 1 decade now as the Vice Chancellor. So he has a vast experience of more than 4 decades of teaching and Sanskrit and also research in Sanskrit. He has guided nearly 32 scholars for their PhD and MPhil. He has authored 4 books and edited as many as 80 books for that matter. And he has been a dynamic Vice Chancellor of the Sri Venkateswara Vedic University at Tirupati. And he was conferred with the title Veda Ratnam by the Kanchi Kamakoti Mutt in Kanchipuram. He was conferred with the title of Veda Nidhi by the Waves, the Hindu University of America. And the title Vidya Vajaspati was conferred on him by the Akhila Bharatiya Vidyat Parishad at Varanasi. And above all, we are really very fortunate to have him as a member of the Academic Advisory Board of the Kantalur Shala. And we have very great pleasure, sir, in inviting you to deliver your inaugural paper on Vedas, the intonations and the interpretations. Professor Sannidhanam Sudarshana Sharmaji.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Namo Brahmane Namo Astvagnaye Namo Divye Namo Oshadhibhya Namo Vache Namo Vachaspataye Namo Vishnave Bruhate Karomi Namo Mahadhya Om Namo Vedatmakaya Venkateswaraya. Respected scholars participating in this webinar, my dear friends and organizers, my hearty congratulations to all of you for successfully streamlining the activity of Kantalur Sala in such a short period of time and arranging this webinar with the cluster of our galaxy of scholars, not only from India but also from the foreign countries. My sincere congratulations and thanks to Professor Murali Madhavan, who has been my learned friend since several decades. My sincere thanks to Professor Radhakrishnan, whom I have met some time back, and I'm delighted to see him on the screen today. Well, sirs and madams, coming to the present topic, today I want to touch 2 aspects. One is the oral transmission of Vedas. The other one is the interpretations based on those Vedic texts. With regard to the original texts of Apaurusheya Vedas, we learn from Mahabhashya that by that time there were 1131 branches of Vedas by the time of Patanjali. We don't know how many were How many more were there before that? But today, as we see, we have only 8 in our hand. Only eight branches are available to us, which means we are having only 0.7% of Vedic literature. See, by this you can assess how much loss we suffered. The present fully available Vedic branches are one branch from the Rig Veda, and then 3 branches from Yajurveda, 3 branches from Samaveda, and 1 branch from Atharva Veda. Only 8 branches are available to us in their full form. What I mean to say is Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, Upanishad. These are the 3 chapters or these are the 4 chapters or books of a particular branch of. Only with regard to these 8 branches, we will get all the literature. Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, and Upanishad. With regard to the others, as I already told you, it is a very pathetic scene that we have lost so many branches of Vedas. Now, what to be done today? Lamenting on the loss is not the solution. We are getting, fortunately, some fragments of some Vedas. For example, the Maitrayaniya Shakha, Maitrayaniya Samhita is available. This branch belongs to the Yajurveda, Maitrayaniya. And then another branch is Shankhayana. Shankhayana belongs to Rigveda. We get it in a piece, in a fragmental method, in a fragmental mode. So also the Paipalada Shakha of Atharva Veda. They are getting the text, but there is no swara. They just, some of the Pandits of Paipalada, they just recite it as Vagartha, Vasamprukta, Vagartha, like Anust. There must have been a swara, but that was lost. Only Paipalada Samhita is available. No other chapters or books of that Veda are available to us. So also Katha, Kapisthala Katha, and then so many are there. If our scholars take up a program to search for them in reputed manuscript libraries, maybe at Adayar, Madras Oriental Government Manuscript Library, and in Kerala also there are so many. In Trivandrum there is a huge manuscript collection, and in ancient Rajas' palaces, so many texts of Vedas were preserved. So if we take up a program to search for the last fragments of the Vedas, so that we can easily reconstruct a full-fledged Veda, that will be our fresh contribution to the Vedic literature, so as to say, to the world by and large. So a huge search has to be undertaken to identify the last fragments of the Vedas. Maitrayaniya, Shankhayana, Paipalada, Katha, Kapisthala Katha, and so on. In recent times, a learned scholar of India, Professor B.B. Choube, who has been located at Vishweswarananda Vedic Research Institute, Hoshiarpur, has done a lot of things. He has brought out one Ashwalayana Samhita that belongs to Rigveda. He could only get the text of Samhita. Other texts are not available. So I cite Professor B.B. Chobe only to encourage our scholars. It is not impossible. I mean to say that it is not impossible if we put our heart and soul on a particular vision. Our young promising scholars are bound to get success. The example is Professor B.B. Chobe. And then another aspect I want to bring to the notice of the honorable galaxy of Vedic scholars. In Rigveda, we have the Vikriti Pathas up to the level of Ghana, up to the topmost level. In Krishna Yajurveda, Taittiriya Shakha, in Kanva Shakha of Shukla Yajurveda, in Madhyandina Shakha of Shukla Yajurveda, also we get this type of Vikriti Patha. Even now, they are in vogue, they are studied, they are taught only in respect of 4 Vedas. When we come to Samaveda branches, Padanta Samavedaka, Padanta, only up to the level of Pada. Pada is not even considered as the Vikriti Patha. Vikriti Patha starts from Krama. Pada is natural. When there is Sandhi, when we make it Visandhi, then Pada is derived by itself. No particular effort is needed. But with regard to Krama and other Vikritis, particular effort is to be added by mixing the words so that they are called Vikritis. Why Samaveda should not have Dhajo, Dando, Ratho, Ghanaha from the Kramapatha onwards? Why they have gone away? Why they have disappeared? So can we reconstruct the Kramapatha, Dhaja, Ratha, Danda, Ghana, etc. Vikriti Pathas with regard to the Samaveda or not? We have to try. I'm not just delivering a meaningless speech. We have made some experiments in Sri Venkateswara Vedic University. With regard to Atharva Veda, we don't have even the Padapatha. We don't have even the Padapatha with us. Of course, the Vishweswarananda Vedic Research Institute at Hoshiarpur, while publishing Rasayana's Bhashya of Atharva Veda, they have given the text of Padapatha. But it is not fully available. In the Vedic University, a team of scholars, including some Ganapatis and Pandits of Pratishakyas, they worked for 4 years and reconstructed the Padapatha of Atharva Veda, which is being taught in Vedic University, Tirupati. We are trying to build up the Kramapatha of Atharva Veda, which has gone out of practice, to bring back. So, with regard to the Samaveda branches and Atharva Veda branches, it is the responsibility of the existing Vedic scholars to rebuild the last tradition of Vikriti Pathas and reintroduce them. After all, the Vikriti Patha is to protect the original text. So they are without the firewall. So we have to build a firewall for the protection of the existing texts of Samaveda and Atharvaveda. For that purpose, we have to rebuild the Vikriti Pathas and reintroduce in teaching learning process. That is one more idea which struck in my mind. And to some extent, we have been successful in this regard. Coming to the point of Vedic interpretations, we are getting bhashyas of Sayana mainly because it is available with all the 4 branches of Vedas, and some bhashyas of Venkatadhari and other Venkatamadhava and others on Rigveda. If we search in the manuscript libraries, we will definitely get some more bhashyas. May not be on the full branch, but in fragments, on particular suktas. Why? Because it is our experience that in Purusha Sukta, we have so many commentaries on Purusha Sukta. And on Nasadiya Sukta also, we have innumerable number of commentaries, both traditional and modern. In this manner, if we search for the last bhashyas on Vedic texts, it is not impossible for us to get them back, study them, and understand the Vedic texts in a better fashion. The Rishar Darshana, I am not underestimating the present scholars, their scholarship, or their way of interpretation. It is certainly to be honored. It is certainly to be taken as pramana, no doubt. But there is a difference. For example, those sages who have composed their bhashyas on Vedic texts, my learned friend, the president, who just concluded his presidential address, has been referring to the Paurushaya and Apaurushaya. Who commented on the Apaurushaya Veda? They are called Rishar Darshana. They can see what we cannot see. So their vakyas, their sentences, their statements are pramana for us. Prama yathartha jnana. Yathartha jnanam nayanti iti pramana. So let us search for the bhashyas of rishis in this regard. In the texts of Vedas for which we are not getting the bhashyas. And at the same time, there is a need to popularize Vedic study. How to do it? A particular subject becomes so popular when people take interest in it. If it is not interesting, nobody will take up the study of Vedas. So how to generate interest? That is the responsibility of the Vedic scholars today. It is the responsibility of the Vedic scholars to generate interest among the circles of intelligentsia. For that purpose, one of the ways is to bring out or to unearth the scientific factors in the Vedas. Vedic physics, Vedic mathematics, Vedic chemistry, the chemistry based on the Vedic text. We have introduced Vedic mathematics. We have also introduced Vedic physics. A lot of things are told about the astronomy and the gravity, the theory of gravity. The theory of gravity is discussed in Aranyaka. Yene me vidhrute vidhe. Ubhe means the Juloka, and the Prithvi is the Adholoka. The upper worlds are not falling down on the earth, and the earth is also not falling below. They are moving in their respective places. How they are hold? Yene me vidhrute ubhe, the upper worlds and the downward worlds, they are in their respective places, controlled by a force. What is that force? Vishnuna vidhrute bhumi iti vatsasya vedana. There is a force which is called Vishnu. Vishu Vyaptam. Vishu Vyaptam. It controls the upper worlds and the worlds down. Holds both of them. That's why Vyaptatvatu Vishnu ichuchi. That is the gravity. Another interesting passage we come across in Shatamata Brahmana. Once upon a time, the upper world and the earth both were together like two parts of a seed. Dvidala, a pulse seed, a pulse, Bengal gram or something, green gram, pulse seed. They were together. And at the command of the creator, they separated. And the upper part went up, the lower part remained here. Before their partition, both the parts, they discussed together. We are getting separated permanently. I need something from you to remember you. So the earth gave sands to the upper world gave sands to the earth, and the earth gave the fertile soil of ant hills to the upper world. So that earth, that piece of earth which was presented by Bhumi to the moon now looks as a mark. Also, there is another passage. After some time, when the Kali Yuga progresses, there won't be place for rituals, Vedic rituals, and all the deities thought that we will have to live without food. So they thought, even at that crucial time, the Vedic rituals should continue, and they should continue to get their food. That's why they cut a piece of earth and placed it on the moon, where the Vedic rituals can be performed even at the crucial time of fourth pada of Kali Yuga. Now we are in the Pratham. So, with a foresight, they have kept a piece of earth on the moon. So this gives an idea that man can live on the earth as if he is living on the earth. Man can live on the moon as if he is living on the earth. So this type of interesting things, Eka Ashwame Kadhuram, Eka Chakrame Karatham, the chariot of sun, the chariot of sun is one mold, and it is a monocle with single wheel. So this type of interesting things are found in the Vedic texts, and if we can successfully present them to the public, they will take interest in the Vedas, and definitely the Vedas will gain their past glory. There is no doubt. Veda is not a language, but it is a subject. While Sanskrit is a language, Veda is a subject. This is only a subject. But the treasure of Veda is hidden in a big iron box, and the key is nothing but Sanskrit. Through Sanskrit, you have to approach Vedas. And while approaching, one should be very cautious, and there should not be any misinterpretations as the rishis, they caution us, Vibhet Chalpashrutadvedo Mamayam Praharishyati, Mamayam Pratarishyati. So let us unearth the scientific factors and present them to the public in the right spirit. In this regard, we in the Vedic University are ready to cooperate with similar organizations like Kantala, Sala. It is the responsibility of this type of organizations to offer something, to contribute something to the society through Vedas. I once again thank Professor Murali Madhavan, Professor Radhakrishnan and all other participants for patiently listening to me. And also, I am thankful to the organizers of Kantarur Sala for providing me an opportunity to interact with you in this inaugural session. Thank you, one and all. Namaskar.
Dhanyavadaha. Thank you very much, Professor Satidanam Sudarshan Sharma ji, for your excellent paper, the inaugural paper, wherein you explained about how Patanjali had mentioned about 1,131 branches, but now only 8 shakas are available. But there is no point in just lamenting over the lost shakas. But if the efforts are made by the younger generation of scholars, there is still hope that many of these shakas can be retrieved. And you have very beautifully cited the instance of Professor D.B. Chaubey of Hoshiarpur, how he brought out that one particular shaka. And in this context, I am also reminded of one fact that the Paipalata Samhita, one manuscript earlier collected by Professor Roth, it was deposited in the Heidelberg University, and one Professor Gunther Müller, he had taken a CD copy of that and gifted that to the Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts, because that is the only manuscript, and in order to preserve that, that was a good gesture on his part. Similarly, the present day research scholars, as advised by you, should take up Vedic studies. We have to encourage that, because there are still a lot of hope that some of the shakas will be retrieved. And how the interpretation of the Veda is also equally important, because Sanskrit is a language, Veda is a subject. Very rightly you pointed out, because some of the scientific facts, as you said, Yame Vidrite Ube, the 2 worlds, and this is reflected again in the Nyaya Vaisheshika system. Adya Padana Asamavaye Karanatvam Gurutvam, the first instance of falling, Gurutva. So that is what we call as a gravitational force. So unless the present generation is told about this, we are trying to inquire into the Vedic literature. That is our Vedaha, Agilaha, Dharma Moolam, Shastra Moolam cha. So it has been a very enlightening talk by you, Professor Sharma ji, and I am sure all of us, particularly all the participants and research scholars, will be very much benefited by that. And on behalf of the Kantalur Shala, we thank you profusely from our hearts. Thank you so much, sir.